Woody had gone right to the police, this would never have happened.
Uh-oh.
So, there are liberties being taken, like, there's going to be an increased amount of shit talk.
Oh, I have to remind myself I'm here willingly.
Catch one with a little bit of attitude, big guy?
Man, you champion son.
It's a kangaroo court.
What do you mean how is the NFL a kangaroo court?
Could you please let me explain why?
No, I don't want to hear this garbage. Give me an answer to the questions I asked you.
What the fuck are we doing?
Come on with it, baby!
That's fine.
Italian. I'll talk to you later.
I'm a psych. That's good to see.
All right. My undercarriage is sweating. For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliot Apollo's, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Do Champions. FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Do Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Do Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.
Ouais, bonjour. Comment allez-vous? Bienvenue au Third Manageable Podcast. If you didn't catch that, welcome. My name is Student Body Right. And across from me, across from you, across the United States, got my co-host, Mr. Matt Diegert. You can find my Twitter at Matt_Diegert. You can find me at Student Body, RGHT, representing the DUE. Matty, what's up, dude?
Not much. Super excited that the...
You didn't want me to do that in French.
It's fine. It's fine. I mean, you can hear me all right?
I can hear you all right, man.
Perfect. It's not in my headset because we kind of moved everything around. So
yeah, well, we moved schedules around tonight because we had Mr. Mike Hoecht on there. I left that podcast thinking, oh, man, that guy's going to be my friend. Matt, you kind of leave it that same ethos. He had very Eric Wood vibes, which we both know he's a friend. Fuck.
Bro. We can't make it one podcast without you.
I know. We name drop every podcast. I got to stop name dropping. Damn it. Anyway, great interview. This cat, like, he's been across all the spectrums, right? He's not the spectrum I'm on, but all the spectrum. Hey, I can make that joke.
You can.
He's been across all the spectrums of news. He's been on Cover One. Shout out Cover One, by the way. Big week for them. They had Terrell Bernard. They had Michael Hoecht, and they got in a little tiff that yielded what a great community we are when we all work together for the common good, when we don't chip away at each other. But we did get to a little bit of that. We got to the chip blocking. We got into a gain rip. We got to pinning his ears back, and we got to kind of the good stuff. The good stuff being most Canadian, Labatt Blue, Drake versus Kendrick, a little poutine. That's why I opened it up in French. But I left that interview saying, man, that guy's going to be a friend, and he's definitely champing at the bit to get home to the Buffalo region. He's a Canadian guy, a CAD. Found out that we're not paying tariffs on him. Shout out Donald Trump. Can't do political stuff. I'm going to stop. But anyway, Matt, how's the week been for you, my man? Good to see you.
I mean, it's been great. Hockey Hotline this morning was great. I enjoyed.
Did you get a little mad this morning, big guy?
I enjoyed screaming about Gary Bettman this morning, ruining hockey.
Yeah, like he's the grand concourse of all our problems.
No, he's not. But it would definitely be a nice thing to have him not ruin hockey. But I mean, we're here to talk about football, so I'm super excited with the interview. I was glad to hear from him earlier this week on Twitter. And for him to hop on the podcast tonight, I mean, it was a lot of fun.
We tried to do something a little different. We definitely tried to do something a little different. Cover One got the X's and O's. I got the nostalgia of talking to another UDFA. Everybody knows my backstory. I didn't make it very far, and this guy is pushing, contract 3. We dive into numbers. We dive into the connection regionally. We talk into the synergy between him and Joey Bosa. Both Ohio guys that made it out west. They're coming back out east by Coastal and with a touchdown in the Midwest. Matt, I know a lot of your time has been shifted in focus out of free agency into the draft. Just with where you're at right now, where Bills fans should be at, what are we going to be able to look forward to coming out of at Matt_Diegert on the Almighty X app?
Yeah, so as far as the draft goes, I'm going to be putting out my second version of my mock draft
Allez, papa.
very shortly. Also, I'm going to be putting out top 5 at each position. So that's definitely going to be a good one. Definitely look for some discourse there throughout, draft, because when I look at prospects, I'm not looking at them like how they did in college and how they're doing in college.
You're looking at them how they translate.
I'm looking at them how they're translating to the NFL and how they're going to translate to teams in the NFL.
Giving somebody everything they need
and nothing they don't.
That's what we do here at Do Champions. What I'd really like to see, if you guys have any questions going forward, especially when we get into these droll months, shoot them our way. You can find us once again at Student Body RGHT on X. Got out of a Twitter suspension there, and at Matt Diegert, or hit up any of our great analysts, Jake, Jesse, Kevin, the Almighty, Whittle, 2K, and Beyond 716. Dudon and Chase, NFL King Stats. Man, it enthralls me that Don and Jake and Chase can give you kind of a breakdown of what's kind of going on in the NFL, especially in these times where it matters what other teams are doing. It matters who they're talking to. If we're sitting there and we believe that Bean is the stalwart we all think he is, that means his phone's never stopped ringing. And it's not just to prospects, it's to other GMs. It's to wheel and deal, move and
shake.
Because if you're not shaking, you're definitely not moving players. So it's nice. You get a couple different angles out of Do Champions. Couple new hires coming up quickly. You'll see them on the network as the offseason rolls on. Hey, if you haven't checked it out either, what also rolls on is Flight Night, Wednesday nights at Iliad Apollos. We drove past there earlier today. Not a table in the house, so we encourage you to call early, call often, much like your corporate vacation schedule. 716-825-3675. Matt, of the free agents that are on the board right now, who do you think we still have an ear to who haven't made a penultimate decision? I'd like to start with one, Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I definitely think that they have. I definitely think they have their ear to the ground with Amari. I think that they're probably. I don't want to say first right of refusal or anything like that, but I think that he might. Just because he comes in here, he plays with Josh Allen, gets to play with an MVP quarterback, and I think that he might want to, give Brandon Beane a call and be like, hey, do you want me? He might not be calling, but his agent might be like, hey, do you still want the services of Amari Cooper? Here's what we've been offered, and if Brandon Beane's like, nah, I'll go to the draft, or whatever the case may be. But I also think that somebody else to watch out for is Asante Samuel Jr., who's still out there.
And Asante Samuel Jr., we had a lot of discussions. This is just when we were friends versus coworkers versus friends versus lovers. We had a very big conversation where I've never been higher on two certain prospects. One being a Jonathan Taylor, who ended up penultimately a Wisco boy, Corn-fed, who came out of Wisco. He ended up going to the Colts, and Asante Samuel out of the deep Florida State, who was looking like he might be a little bit of a journeyman. Speaking of journeyman, too, Stephon Gilmore. If it did come back to that, would you welcome a guy like that back? Because he did have a little bit of an unceremonious exit, and if you're partial to that conversation, talking about unceremonious exits, we have one Stephon Diggs to divulge and dissect right before you hear from Michael Hoecht.
Yeah, I mean,
start with one. Stefan, do you think there's any parallels between what we've already dealt with in terms of retaining old talent for new tricks?
Like I said, coming out from last week, when he put that stuff out there, I put a tweet out that said I don't expect him back.
Tell what the tweet was, because I thought it was kind of brilliant. You texted it to me, and I said, I'm shocked that you texted it first. You didn't tweet it first. Your Twitter fingers.
So it said that I don't expect Stephon Gilmore to ever wear a Bills jersey until
Stephon Diggs.
Until 10 years from now, probably about 10 years from now when he's the legend of the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, I figure if we're going to give the legend of the game to one T.O., who offered his services, and he was kind of like a punchy guy. The little difference is that T.O. had a little bit shorter of a career with less contentiousness. I don't know where we're at, man. I don't. I got some ears to that team. I don't have ears on this one. Have you heard anything about Steph Diggs outside of what has already been digested out there?
No, and honestly, I mean, I don't think that the post was anything more than one of two things.
Okay, I'm bagging this. I'm listening.
One of them was, put out by as a joke by I think the guys over at Air Raid from Cover One.
Shout out Cover One. Won't stop doing it this episode. Shout out Cover One.
They said that as a joke, Stefan probably put it out there because he's about to sign with either New England or Kansas City, and
an agent of chaos.
And he then had a meeting with New England like within 2 days of that. But I think it's either that or I think it was nothing more than that day that he put it out. It was 4 or 5 years prior that we had traded for him back in 2020.
Do you think it's a bit of negotiating in the media or him trying to project a narrative that everything's all gravy? We're good. I am a team player. It was just a sticky situation.
I honestly don't know. I mean,
it's probably best not to get in the mind of Steph and Trey Diggs.
Yeah.
What's the deal with his brother? Is he going to return on the Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, he'll be back on the Cowboys. I really, I would welcome Steph Diggs back. I mean, I'm.
That's a strong departure from his departure.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's not necessarily. It's not. You wouldn't be signing to a multi-year deal. Anything like that.
Can you believe he's probably on an approved deal?
Absolutely. I think he.
Did you think we'd land here? Actually.
No, never.
Neither did I.
Never. And it's because of the injury. It truly is because of the injury.
You think it's solely because of the injury? I think it's the sum of the collective, lad.
I honestly think it's because of the injury personally, because if he goes out and because I think he had something like 45 catches for almost 500 and something yards. I'd have to get the exact numbers for you.
Please don't.
But no, like I said, I mean, I don't expect. Like I said, I don't expect him back. I would welcome him back if Josh wanted him back, because that's really what it comes down to is what Josh wants is seeming like what he gets.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot. The three-headed monster of which comes with the way we run our organization and the way we develop the culture of which has seen a lot of return. Actually, since he's left, I don't think the culture's ever been higher. In terms of team camaraderie, in terms of strength of leadership, than his departure, and that's something well documented by the likes of Spencer Brown, the likes of Alec Anderson, the likes of Dion Dawkins. All they talk about is the culture and how to operate with couth in the media. It's not that they're media trained. It's just that they don't have anything bad to say. How much do you bag that take I just lit off there? It's not that they don't have anything bad to say. It's just a cultural thing where we're not going to say it to almost to deify what we've got.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of seems that way across the entire entire Buffalo Bills. Whether that's players, whether that's management, whether that's coaching. You don't hear a lot out of those guys, and it truly, Brandon Beane will go on McAfee and Fitz and Witt.
Yo, that Fitz and Witt,
that
was
really
pretty dope.
good.
That was pretty candid.
Yeah,
I feel like we caught Brandon Beane in his easy chair.
Yeah,
and that's nice. It was interesting that even though Beane was never at really the helm. When Fitz was an active player for us, he did give him the agency if he wanted to retire at Bill. And Fitz was very open that he feels like, it's like a double entendre or some duality. I don't know which one fits better in terms of the phrasing, but he said he always did feel like he was a Buffalo Bill, but he wanted to acknowledge that he was a journeyman. Kind of where we're at with Stefan Diggs, my man. He is a journeyman. This is the first team he's going to be able to pick of which he plays for. He comes out of the University of Maryland, gets drafted to the Minnesota Vikings. Yep. From there, he has an unceremonious exit. He gets traded, not to his pick, of the Buffalo Bills. From there, he forces his way out and doesn't pick his third team with the Dallas Cowboys. This is the first time he's going to be able to... Houston, Texas, I'm sorry. So maybe I'm tipping my hand a little bit of where I think he lands if they'll have him. So this is truly the first bout of free agency with Stefon Diggs where he's going to be able to pick his own team, and it's not because he's that good. It's because he's worn out his welcomes in a couple different regionalized eras. Is that any different than OBJ? Do you expect to see him on the field this year?
No, I definitely don't.
You think to quote Whittle, it's curtains.
It's curtains.
Shout out Whittle 2K.
I think he's absolutely done in the NFL. I mean, with everything personal wise and things like that, I not to touch on it or anything, because I have no idea what it's about or anything. So
well, you have an idea what it's about.
Oh, absolutely.
Sometimes no news is good news, But we did, in touching on this stuff, we did get some extensions done. If we could just rattle them off, let's see who quits first. I'll go first. We'll do extensions, renegotiations. I'll go first. Reed Ferguson.
That was not an extension. That was a re-signing. Because
No, I said we'll include both. We'll go
Okay.
tit for tat. See who taps out first, Hulk
All right.
Hogan.
Terrell Bernard.
Greg Rousseau.
Josh Allen.
Matt Milano.
Uh,
I'll take the W.
yeah. You got that one.
Anyway, you guys are going to hear across the airways right now what you've said before. This is a different type of interview with Mike Hoecht. We kept it light. We kept it flaky, like a croissant to keep it with the French motives. And there is a certain what phrase I love so much. What is that?
Je ne sais quoi.
There is a je ne sais quoi about this, one that cannot be quantified about why you should listen to this interview. We're going to cue it up right now. You're listening to the Third and Manageable Podcast. Student Body Right, Drew Tyler, and Matt Diegert. Welcome, Matt Hoecht. Nope. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the Third and Manageable Podcast. Sponsored by all those illustrious sponsors we have. We're going a little early today because we have somebody going worth going early for. The newest Buffalo Bill, a guy who's gonna truly learn what it is to be bi-coastal, Mr. Mike Hoecht. We will bring him on. Super excited to get to know him. It certainly kind of feels good to get to know people who make time for us, and I think just in the brief pre-show discourse, you're gonna get to know and get to love. Hopefully, a guy who's going to be really getting after that ass, getting after a couple pass rushers. I did notice in my pre-show prep, he has gotten after some quarterbacks. I want to ask him about getting after Mr. Aaron Rodgers, getting after Caleb Williams, and a guy like Russell Wilson. So he's definitely played with some of the best. He had some humble beginnings. Started off in the true north of Canada, got into Ohio. He's Ivy educated. You know me, I got kicked out of Cornell, so I can respect that. But I'm going to throw it to my co-host, to my left, to your right, Mr. Matt Diegert. Matt, what's up, dude? How you doing?
Not bad tonight. Super excited to be with Michael Hoecht tonight. It's always fun when we talk to players and hear a little bit more about them, really. Like, because you have the Cover One podcast, you have the Built in Buffalo podcast. They talk about all the other stuff. They don't.
We can talk that, but I'd rather get to know the guy because it's easier to root for a guy who wants to be here and has a backstory as to why he is here.
Exactly.
So, Matt, without further ado, Super Producer Ty, what's going on? How you doing over there?
Doing great. Ready to go.
Yeah, you excited for this one? Very good. Matt, without further ado, why don't you intro our guest?
Yeah, so as you see him coming on the screen right now, we are very, very excited to welcome
Number 55,
Michael Hoecht.
What's going on, boys? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, no problem, man. You're chipper. It must be all that Cali sunshine, the Erewhons, maybe some Equinox road workouts.
Yeah, I mean,
living that holistic lifestyle.
Yeah.
Very good. I got to intro and start with you here, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
You had 97 out on the Rams. You're going to 55 here. You couldn't work one out with Bosa to figure out who was going to.
I think five-time Pro Bowler Bosa gets kind of first dibs on that one. But, no, I mean, 5-5 is going to be fun. I'm sure I can figure out some cool celebrations to add with it. It's going to be a clean. It's going to be a fast number. That was my original. When I originally signed with the Rams, I was 96. And then, I was thinking after like a year, I don't know, something about the round 0 or the round 9, the round 6. I felt like it was just making me look slow on tape. So I was like, all right, like F this. I'm switching to 97, faster number, more of an angle, like sharp lines. And that's when I switched to outside linebacker too. So clearly it worked. I don't know if it gave me a little extra pop on tape.
I mean, look good, feel good, play good, man.
That's what it's all about. So, 5-5, I'm really going to be rolling now.
Now, I hear you. You are a product of the true North. I do have to ask, are the Bills paying tariffs on you because you are a product from Canada?
I'm hoping if we bring a championship to Western New York, maybe that bridges the gap and ends the trade war.
I saw you on the Cover One podcast. You said you'll probably have probably 150 players or friends and family up here. And they're going to be commuting here, but you actually learned you were going to be a Buffalo Bill while you were commuting to Hawaii with no internet. Now, you've probably never seen this podcast. We thrive on the complications of technology, but how many heart palpitations were you feeling when you knew where you were landing in Hawaii, but you didn't know where your career was going to be landing?
Well, what I made sure to check on that flight the whole way before I left that I was good. I was going to have Wi-Fi the whole way. I was going to be in contact with my agent, be able to talk to teams, look through deals, talk about clauses that are in your contract, go through this whole thing. And then about an hour off the coast of LA over the Pacific, Wi-Fi cuts out. Asked the flight attendant, is like, hey, I read online, specifically that there was going to be Wi-Fi. She's like, oh no, absolutely. There's no Wi-Fi for the next 3.5 hours. So,
so you're trying to tell me the bureaucratic tape of the U.S. airline system failed you. Color me shocked.
Well, what was so weird too is on the way home, when I don't need Wi-Fi, had Wi-Fi the whole way, no issue. From all the way from Maui to Buffalo was not disconnected for 1 second. It was only the most critical time, the most important contract negotiation I've ever gone through. That is the most stressful. And yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things where you're like, I don't know, we're going to navigate this. And your blood pressure and everything is obviously rising. But then at a certain point, you just got to sit there and laugh and be like, this situation is ridiculous.
God's plan. Shout out Drake, by the way. True North.
Yeah.
So speaking on that, what made you choose the Bills?
I think it's just an awesome fit. It's an awesome scheme. Obviously, we played like a fireworks game with the Bills last year. The game where both sides are scoring 40 points, and obviously you watch Josh Allen, and he's everything that you want in a quarterback. He's, so fun to watch play football. And, this defensive line group that we're putting together, we're going to, I think this gives us a really, really good chance to try and go win a Super Bowl. And honestly, it's in my back door. I was born to be a Buffalo Bill. All roads eventually were leading back to Buffalo. And so, it's just, when I reflect on it too, when you go through free agency, you never really know who's going to be interested and, what the situation is going to be. And I just feel so fortunate and lucky that the team that is in my backyard next to all my friends and family just down the road also happened to be the team that was super interested in me. So I don't know what I did to get that lucky, but, very fortunate and couldn't be more fired up for it.
What I thought was kind of cool is with you joining Mr. Bosa here is kind of like the similar path you guys have kind of backdoor. You did end up being an Ohio guy. Mr. Bosa is an Ohio guy. You end up an LA guy. Mr. Bosa was out in LA. And you guys are now Buffalo Bills teammates. It's kind of crazy how you guys have both have schism paths, but at the same time you're running on the same trajectory.
Yeah, and we did joint practices with the Chargers while we were out here in training camp, and you always just watch him, and he's obviously super technical and very, very fun and aggressive in his pass rushing technique and style, and he's definitely a guy that as I was coming up in the NFL, you're watching his tape and you're watching some of his moves and his signature double swipe, and really, really fun to kind of watch pass rush. And then all of a sudden you blink and you find out that, you're going to be rushing next to him, playing with them. It's cool. It's kind of a full circle. And, might not have had the same path into the NFL from undrafted.
Hey man, I was a UDFA for the Chargers. I got it. I made it 3 days. And they're like, You ever see the movie Heavyweights? I say it all the time with Ben Stiller. Where they're like, Josh Birnbaum, get on the scale. Get off the scale. That was basically my time on the Chargers. I tell everybody they didn't let me keep the shorts. So I played at Monmouth. I'm sure you're probably familiar. We call ourselves, the Ivy League of Jersey. Yep. That's a joke. But you played at Brown. Man, what an ugly color scheme that was.
Yeah, it's pretty
the Brown
tough.
Bears, but still
The
Ivy League
Brown Bears.
educated. It's good stuff. I like it.
Our mascot can't be anything other than the Bears because there's not that many other things. I mean, I guess you could just be the Browns, but Brown Bear. But I don't know, like the color schemes really grow on you when you're so used to like blues and golds and reds, and all of a sudden you just got like we're kind of the only team. We're actually out there repping brown on brown. It's brown pants, brown helmets.
There's a little red thrown in there too for good measure.
We got some style.
You play with some Pantones when you're allowed. So I wanted to ask you, man, your development. What was the bigger gap? Did you see a bigger amount of growth? Was it your high school game to that first couple of years in college? Was it your freshman year to your senior year in college? Or was it, from that senior year in college to your first couple years in the NFL? Where did you see the biggest the gap in growth in your game?
I would honestly say it was after I like switched to outside linebacker in the NFL, because going through playing pretty much defensive line, how much do you really understand about the coverage that's being played behind you? Like, you kind of understand if it's man and the DB's like eyes are turned. So if the quarterback gets out of the pocket, then you're pretty much at that point you got problems. And if it's zone, you can be like, there's some more wiggle room in the rush. But it wasn't until I switched to outside linebacker and I'm now involved in the coverage and playing Tampa 2 and playing simulated pressures and cover 5 and all the like
cover 5
interesting stuff that's kind of like going on behind you. That up until that point, I just I was like, I had no idea what cover 5 was. And now that I kind of like understand where all the pieces are, it not only like helps you play fast and like I know where all my help is, but it's also in the run fit. When guys are
who's playing force,
you know who's scraping over the top and filling alleys and capping off on the run, and that like helps you know what shots and what angles and how aggressive you can be in certain situations, and what situations are just like, this is not your opportunity. Do not screw this up, because if you do, we're hosed.
So real quick, I mean, going on that, playing the defensive line, dropping to linebacker and stuff like that. I mean, we are called the Third Manageable Podcast. So let me ask you a quick question about like kind of an immanageable situation that
I know exactly what you're going to ask. I know exactly what you're going to ask.
So how far would you have been able to, cover DK Metcalf down the field before there was tears?
When does that turn to flies? Like, what yard marker does that turn to flies?
Yeah, honestly, like typically it's around under 7, and in which case it's like, well, that's running to a safety. There was actually a play. We were playing the Colts in 23, and we were in like a fire zone coverage, 3 under 3 deep, and I'm responsible for carrying 2 vertical. And 99% of the time, number 2 never runs vertical, and it's no issue. And so like, the coaches are like, hey, tough down for you. We just got to have you like fight through it. And I'm like, all right, sweet. And I'm lined up like in the slot, and they run like a play action boot, and 2 just takes off and goes. And I'm just like sprinting down the field, like opening up as much gas as I can possibly get, just hoping. And because,
that boy's running on diesel.
We're getting sick. We're bringing pressure, and that pressure's got to get home now. And then after the play, just like looked up at my coach, and I was just like, the 2's never going vertical, huh? He's like,
Well, oh man, that was good. I like that. A big part of your game too is you have 13.5 sacks so far. Keywords so far. The difference between the sweetness of DoorDash, where it kind of just falls into your lap because you're playing a good game, you're pinning your ears back on one side, but you also know the sweetness of a home cooked meal where you have to put in that sweat equity. You can't give up on a play. If you could give us the DoorDash sack that like kind of just fell into your arms because as the team was playing such great defense, you got to where you're supposed to be and you got that QB on the ground, and then give us the home cooked meal sack where you didn't give up on the play. You just grinded it out, and you ended up getting a one.
And which one was your favorite one?
Yeah.
I mean, the favorite sack's always going to be the next one, and there's no such thing as a half sack. Like, you get to the quarterback, that's a sack. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you shared one with Floyd. I would have gave you the whole. I would have gave you the whole thing.
Yeah. But the one that comes to mind, the DoorDash one, was actually last year when we played Chicago, and that was kind of we were sort of just starting to develop this. Rush package
that was
we
in the
had.
red zone, if I'm not mistaken,
yes.
right?
Yeah. And Kobe like cooked his guy. And the great part about these, in your words, the DoorDash sacks is that the guy who's responsible for contain or cover or being the layer to the pressure, or is just, however you're designing it, there's typically one guy who's responsible for either, giving up a little ground and the quarterback like ducks under, it can go refill, or is just in charge of, what we would call it high-low. So you're responsible. Right. Quarterback goes high, you go high. Quarterback goes low, you go low. And those are like the cleanup sacks that typically, like, when these really, really great pass rushers, somebody wins, but then somebody breaks contain. And, how many times have you seen Josh run out of the pocket because somebody, has all the gaps aren't accounted for. Sure. So, those ones are really important. And that's what, when you, during OTAs and training camp and preseason, and throughout the whole season, you kind of get used to the pass rushers that you're with, and you figure out, who's good at what, whose opportunity is this to go win, and whose opportunity is this to be the cover guy. And a lot of times those cover guys get a ton of sacks. So those happen all the time. And then what comes to mind for the home cooked meal is, again,
I like that you're playing along with the structure of the show. It really means a lot to us.
Yep. In the first snap of the game in 23, we played the Dallas Cowboys. Just watched the first snap. The rest of the game is a disaster. But the first snap,
just stay for the previews.
Yeah, running back motions to empty. We had a run play called. But as soon as there's no running back, it's obviously not a run. So you switch my feet, rocket off the ball, cross chop. That is kind of a mixture from in the sort of Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd world of pass rushing, where a lot of pass rushing coaches really don't like when guys leave their feet to jump. But I've got a little basketball background. Nice. I've got a layup to me. I like, the cross arm action, almost a Euro step and going. So
Euro step. Shout
out the move. And just flew off the ball, sack on the first play of the game. And then that drive, if you want a picture of how that game went, the opening drive, we had 3 sacks. They still scored a touchdown, and then we lost and then we blinked and we were down 4 scores.
Yeah, that's crazy.
When you did comment that coaches hate when you leave your feet,
yeah, it's
just you're playing a guy like Josh or Dak or someone like that. They're more athletic than you. Do not leave your feet. That was always the adage in college. Don't set yourself up for stupidity.
Yeah,
don't punch somebody who's wearing a helmet. That was always the 2 bugaboos.
Yeah, I've punched a few helmets in my days, and it's not smart.
Yeah,
at least in hockey, they're good enough to take the lids off, but football,
they're trying to save a couple metacarpals there because hockey is pretty big with the hands. So.
Yeah.
So, Matty, I'll swing it back to you. I just want to thank again, everybody. We got Mike Hoecht on, newest Buffalo Bill, number 55, 13.5 sacks, looking to add to it in a defense that looks robust and looks like it is still going to be in contention for the long haul as we were this year. So, Matt, what else you got for me?
Yeah, so, Mike, what was behind the number? Why 55?
He said he was touching on it before. He wanted.
I missed that because I was.
Oh, well, let's not make him do it twice because I liked his answer the first time. It was so eloquent, and that's why he has an Ivy League education.
Yeah, and I don't.
Right. So, Mike? Did they make you take the Wonder Lick? Did you go to Indy?
So no, I no combine invite. I actually remember exactly where I was when the D linemen were doing their combine training because I was at some random yoga class with my college roommates. And I remember seeing the combine, just thinking it is insane. I didn't get invited to that. I would have smoked all those guys, but
I love that.
No, but I kind of forget the question, but back to 55, it just seems fun. I'm going to have, I'll be able to figure out a couple good celebrations with it for sure.
Speaking
Double
of,
nickels.
Yeah, speaking of though, I was saying on our podcast last week with somebody you'll probably meet in the media with Ryan Talbot, whether you met him, great guy by the way. But it's funny if you actually take the O out of your name, Jochen Hecht. You being a hockey fan.
No, this guy's a Leafs fan. Okay,
I understand that. That's why I'm bringing it up because there was a huge rivalry between the Sabres and the Leafs for a while. And
it was Ray versus Ty Domi, every single time. Getting back to punching helmets and metacarpals, the Rob Ray fights and the Ty Domi fights, those were great. Yeah. No better than Ray Emery from the Sens. I know that stuff like that, but. With your Canadian background, Mike, we wanted to play a little game real quick of this or that. Okay. You down? We're going to give you 2 things. They're going to be binary. You pick this or that, and we tailored them a little bit to you. So I'm going to start off real quick with you being a Canadian guy. Okay, you down for this?
Let's do it.
You familiar with Letterkenny?
I am. I haven't seen it.
Oh, are you familiar with Trailer Park Boys?
Yes, always.
So I'm guessing if you had to pick two, gun to the head, Letterkenny or Trailer Park Boys, which one you going with for Canadian?
Trailer Park Boys, 100%. Easy.
Understood. Going to Matt. Matt, this or that, sponsored by Sons of Erie.
Yeah, so the other one that we have is maple syrup or all dressed chips.
Oh.
Yeah, we thought we were going to get you on that one.
Oh, yeah, that is a tough one. I have all dressed chips probably more than I have maple syrup, but I think it would be against everything that is in my blood not to choose maple syrup. So it's maple syrup.
Man, I really thought I was going to get him with all dressed chips.
Ketchup chips might have tipped the scales the other way, but no, it's got to be maple syrup. It is literally coursing through my veins. When the Four Nations game happened afterwards, I was in my black team.
Who did you root for there?
Team Canada. Team Canada hockey is like one of my favorite things to root for, and they're the black alternate jerseys. I think are one of the best jerseys in sport.
Those are spicy.
That Connor McDavid goal at the end of that was just amazing. As mad as I was that Team USA didn't win, I mean Austin Matthews had three beautiful chances.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Leafs, had three beautiful chances, right on Binnington, and couldn't bury it. But McDavid came right down and scored in that overtime.
Well, and when you're celebrating and watching that game, what are you cracking? What cold one you cracking? A Molson Canadian or a Labatt Blue?
Molson Canadian. I feel like we grew up in a Molson household, and I don't think that's going to change.
Wow. Even with the Labatt Blue Silos, the guys, he's nothing but consistent. I'll give him that. Maddie, what do you got for him? This or that?
Yeah. So we got two more for you in the this or that. Which would you rather go to, Lake Erie or Lake Ontario?
Ooh, that's a good question. I actually don't think I've been.
How do you like your pollution?
Yeah. I'm probably going to say Lake Ontario. Just honestly, that one's a coin flip. That one's a coin flip for me. I wish I had a more eloquent answer other than I just sat here.
No. And this one's, I assure you, this one's going to be more interesting than Two Bodies of Water, because these are two big bodies in the rap game. Yo, Kendrick or Drake, man?
Team Drake the whole way. Got to represent.
Wow. That is an unpopular opinion from a very popular guy. By the way, is Quebec part of Canada? Have you guys had another referendum? Is poutine better than Swiss Chalet? Did you have Swiss Chalet growing up? Because I remember that place. We used to have them in Buffalo, and you always knew the quarter rotisserie chicken was coming out hot based on how many times you slipped on the floor going to the bathroom.
Yeah, the Swiss Chalet like sauce. Every time I go, I feel like I would load up out of like extra ones, keep it in the freezer, and then I don't know. You make chicken at home. You're like, well, we're doing Swiss Chalet again tonight, and defrost it. Yeah, that stuff slaps. I can just drink that stuff neat.
It's the absolute best, man. Mike, whatever you choose to do in your prep here, are you going to remain out in LA? Working out, or when do you plan to be back in the community so we can get a corner chicken ourselves here?
A little bit before OTAs start up, and then we got to figure out living situation, where we're going to be, housing, all that stuff, and then once we kind of get that sorted out, start slowly transitioning and moving stuff out there. And I'm trying to get to Buffalo as fast as I can because I hear
because you only get so much summer out here.
No, I know. You gotta experience that. But no, I'm ready for a little snow. We played the Jets and it was freezing. We obviously had the snow game with Philly, and those games rock. Those are the games that you remember. The nighttime, the snow coming down, blizzard. Those are the ones that I don't know. Even though you might be a little more banged up afterwards, just like you get back in the locker room, you're like, all right, that was pretty fucking sweet.
Well, I mean, there's a famous quote of Marv Levy. When it's
too cold for them,
it's just right for us. Mike, we got to thank you for your time. Enjoy your evening. Enjoy your stay here. I'm sure we're going to be meeting in person soon down at Ilio Palos. You'll find a lot of the guys are going to be doing down there. Thanks for your time, man. This has been great. Go Bills and go Brown.
Yeah,
UDFA's to the moon, baby. Respect with majors.
UDFA's are taking over. It's the invasion. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, and a big thank you to Michael Hoecht for hopping on with us tonight. He did have a little bit of issue, so we did have to pre-record that, but we made the accommodation for him, and super excited that he was able to inevitably hop on with us. So.
Yeah, we appreciate all almost 1,000 of you guys rocking with us right now. We're at Duke Champions, derivatives of the game and fans of the game of those. Matt, let's kind of use this time to kind of pump the platform here. Who we got coming up next, especially next week, a big one.
Yeah, next week we got Alex Brasky coming on from
New York Upstate, Democratic Syracuse guy, a big stalwart when it comes to the community. We have Mr. Doug Worthington, the voice of Big Ten football in Ohio State, St. Francis alum, one of my ex-teammates will be coming out. We have Chris Hogan, former Buffalo Bill, couple-time Patriot. Hopefully Matt Collins doesn't go the same way.
Leave that out of there.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Especially when we don't know where Stephon Diggs is landing. And after that, Mr. Alec Anderson will be coming out. So keep it locked here at Duke Champions. I am a student body right. That is Matt Diegert. Matt, in leaving that interview, you kind of really felt like he is all gas, no brakes. He's ready to go. He's ready to be in Buffalo, and that's the type of motor that we thought we were going to get out of Vaughn. We got Vaughn, in those glimpses, those flashes. He did get hawked down on that fumble recovery. But do you think the door is still open to retain a one Vaughn Miller? And what's that going to cost a franchise like ours working with the said cap base we do have?
Honestly, I think it's done. Unless it's
the chapter's closed.
I do, unless it's later in the season. Maybe for like the last couple of games and then a playoff run. I could see him coming back for a very, very small amount, incentive.
What makes you comfortable? What amount makes you comfortable here? Because, Bean's got to make it a deal that's friendly with the team. It's friendly. He was obviously a stalwart in the locker room. He imbibed with that culture. He drank the juice. He got us to where we got to. Is he going to take us to where we need to go? I guess is my question to you.
I mean, it would be nice to see him, for a playoff run, having everything, as long as he comes back, in the best shape possible. I would be perfectly fine with a similar deal to what he had last year with the vet minimum.
Instead of Layden deal, correct? Yeah.
I think that would probably be something that would fit the bill. No pun intended.
No pun intended. Got it.
For the team and for Vaughn, because I think that gives Vaughn a way to, get some playing time incentives, also sack incentives for the Bills in the playoffs, and something that they could take advantage of. But for any part of the beginning of the season, I'm not of the mind that I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking too is the guys that have come back or come to this team with such high hopes. A lot of them adorned number 55, mainly a Jerry Hughes. I believe what is Leonard Floyd? Did he wear 50 or 55?
56.
He wore 56. So of that echelon, and obviously with Michael Hoecht picking number 55. If these guys want to scale back on that interview, he tells you the ethos behind it. But finding gems in the draft, you certainly didn't find Michael Hoecht in the draft. You found him as a UDFA. And that's kind of what we're going to touch on mainly with Whittle 2K and Matt as the dress preparation comes to full fold as we get closer to the draft. Do you think the Bills ever have a shot with this new stadium of hosting that premier event where everybody gets suited and booted in their Louis Vuitton, their Prada, and their Givenchy suits? You think that new Highmark Stadium ever has the capacity at that venue to host an event of such preeminent importance?
I mean, I do think it has the ability to do that.
It's a hope when you build it and you spend all those dollars on it.
It comes down to weather for me. And does the NFL look at it and be like, okay, April's okay during Buffalo or during April, because it is the end of April, beginning of May. So it is nice weather at that time, but it's an open air stadium, and it's not like you're putting guys in the stands. They're all on the actual part that's open. So
sure, the natural grass,
raining or snowing or any, because we've seen snow in April. I mean,
sure.
Let's be serious.
And you're going to see a lot of games played in different countries as we open up the season. We touched on it last week. We got one in Spain, one in Germany, one in Brazil, one in Dublin, one in London. Matt, you see yourself making yourself comfy for a week watching any of those games there? Or do you think, hey, man, we're all about growing the game, but not at the expense of teams and anti-competition? Because you do see the Jaguars having a ton of those games.
I mean, it truly depends. I mean, if the Bills are in one of those games, I mean, it just really comes down to the simple fact for that is every time that we have traveled overseas, something
bad's happened.
Something and if
something seems amiss.
If they allow us to play on the better field, the pitch, then that might be something that I'm okay with. But if like when we talked to Ryan last week, who was actually there, he got to watch them roll out the field on the better natural grass field where they basically played on concrete. And
yeah, I mean these EPL teams that are spending millions upon millions of pounds. Shout out British currency never joining the EU. We'll talk about that later on my economics podcast. Millions and millions of pounds shed it out to these EPL teams, the Tottenhams. You get out to Wembley, which is the associate pitch of one Manchester United. They're not going to roll that out for an expansionary game because the footy rules over there. Do you think in these expansionary efforts for a game that has such a chokehold on the United States, do you think this is a money grab, or do you think this is truly of the essence of growing the game in the purest form, just attracting more eyeballs?
I think it's just attracting more eyeballs because you're trying to make it a world type game like soccer is.
Footy, yep.
You can call it whatever you want.
I live there.
It's football over there. I get that, but I think it is bringing more eyes to the actual game and. Gives them the ability to see games closer to them than actually having to fly across the pond.
Yeah, and when you do talk about flying across the pond, it is analogous with that jet stream. It's a better flight there than it is back. You are in a pressurized tube. I mean, I still have friends. I'm in my 30s. They wear the constrictive and restrictive socks just to get the blood pressure going. There is something to be said that there are some inherent challenges playing in those games, not only time-based, but getting your nutrition over there. It is a large capital investment, so you hope that the capital is returned in viewership, in larger cap base. I mean, the cap only goes up, right, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, at this point right now, they're seeing nothing but, going up. I would expect, like when we talked to Greg Thompson.
Shout out Cover One all day.
He said he expects it to go up probably another $30 million this year. And, I mean, we're already at 279.2. So you're probably talking 305. You're probably talking, let's do the actual math. You're talking 315, probably right around there.
Yeah, and especially with the gambling adage being added to it, it's only a matter of time before there's a FanDuel TV that pops up. I mean, we're already with Netflix, we're already with Nickelodeon, we're already with Amazon Prime, and you even saw HBO. HBO got some March Madness coverage, and just in some of those time slots, they are pumping that NFL draft. I don't know what's going on with the NCAA. I don't know how they're going to restructure the NILs with the re-recruitments. Where do you stand on the first overall pick? Do you think it is consensus that it is Cam Ward? You got to remember, Cam Ward started with Incarnate Word in Texas. He then goes to a Washington State, and then he goes to a University of Miami, largely predicated on these NIL deals, all playing in different systems. When you're grading out a talent and you see a guy like that in 5 years play in 3 systems, Matt, you said something that was interesting before. You're not grading them out about the competition they played now. You're talking about how they're going to translate as rookie day one starters, because you are predicated that if you're selected with a number 1 overall pick, you should get some playing time.
Correct. And I think that I think the Titans do end up taking him first overall.
Vrabel, though.
I mean,
Vrabel wouldn't like that. I know it's not Vrabel anymore. Vrabel just wouldn't like that. That's a culture shift from what Tennessee has been. Now, how much do you think an interdivisional rival? How much do you think we'll get the Vrabel effect within the AFC East now?
I think that their defense is going to be much improved. You're going to have, Christian Gonzalez probably playing at a higher level than he was, being another year into their system. I think that you're going to see Christian Barrymore come back, and he's going to be a welcome addition back to their team. So, I mean, I think that they're going to be up near the upper echelon of good defenses again, just based on what they have on their team.
Okay, and swing it to keeping it with the AFC East. Oh, man, with the Jets' new head coach, outside of pitching a goose egg Is there anything that'll make him fireable in Woody Johnson's eyes this year, outside of pitching an Ofer, a goose egg, and just being a complete non-competitive thing? Is there anything that Aaron Glenn can do to get himself fired as quickly as like a Gerard Mayer got fired?
I mean, maybe not. Not playing the right Madden guys. I mean,
come on, man. Can I get you to be serious?
It's a joke because
I apologize to the 2,000 people we have watching.
But no, in all seriousness, though, I mean, we heard that from Joe Douglas that it's not Woody Johnson running the team anymore. It's his grandson, and they made.
Come on.
He's
not signing the checks.
He's not, but he's also in his grandfather's ear. And if he's the one that's going to be taking over the team once Woody passes, I mean, it's got to be some way, shape, or form that he's taking advantage of that. And
I got it. What's going to be exciting, especially with that interview we just did with Mike Hoecht, is the defensive line being largely predicated on that rotational aspect. You don't really see too many defensive linemen taking more than 50 to 60% of the snaps. With Bosa coming on, with the injuries, with Hoecht being a UDFA and kind of being more of a niche guy that can play outside linebacker, with a Jaquan Jones returning, do you think that defensive line is largely going to still be predicated on the rotational aspect?
I mean, absolutely, and it'll depend on what they do in the draft too. I fully expect them to take.
I love that Jordan Phillips in the draft. I do. The other Jordan Phillips.
I expect them to take a very large human in the first 3 picks. They have 30, 56, and 62. So I expect them to take a very large human with one of those picks. I'm of the mind I want them to take corner at the first with their first pick.
So you want corner, not corn-fed.
I want Trey Amos, personally. I think he's very, very high. I mean, I would take Barron if he fell to us. I'd be running the card up.
No, Matt. Let me ask you this: Would you take sitting at what pick 30? 30. Would you take sitting there, or do you think there's going to be some movement? You saw it last year as we moved back in the second round. The key in that second round movement, Matty, as we both know, is the lack of that 5th year option. And the changing of the tranches of what a committed first year salary is going to be. Now, if you had to lay your linens on what we're going to do, you say we're going to stay at 30, or you think there's going to be some movement, whether backwards or forwards or neutral?
I don't think Brandon Beane's going to move backwards this year. I think he's either going to stay put or move forward.
The calls are being made, though.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure that they're being made already. I'm sure they're trying to finalize their board. They're trying to finalize their board, just like anybody else is doing right now. I don't know, we don't know where they're going, where they're thinking. But they were just at Florida State watching Josh Farmer and
who's that linebacker that we just brought in from Arkansas? That cat.
Oh, Landon Jackson.
Man, that guy can move and shake, and he moves a lot like Bernard.
The
white cat out of is he a Razorback?
He's a defensive end, not a linebacker.
But he moves and shakes laterally. That's what I'm talking about. I think cover one. I think shout out Pro Ant, shout out Aaron Quinn and Eric Turner. They put out something brilliant. Linebackers my steez about the synergistic movement between Bernard and Milano. Is that kind of what we're looking for on those off-ball players that are going to be tasked with rush, also with like pressing the hash on cover 2, especially if we go into cover 1, we play a dog or a robber. Do you think that's where it's moving to? Because that's what we talked about last week. We talked about Terrell Bernard moving to the number 8. He referenced Kobe Bryant, Mamba mentality, and we made the joke that he doesn't really fill out that number set, or he fills it out better. Don't you think that's where the linebacker position is kind of transitioning to? Let's see how well you move within scheme.
Yeah, I definitely do agree with that. I do think that watching their video and the film room and everything like that.
Shout out cover 1.
I noticed that from also watching a lot of film last year. Those guys read and react with the best of them. I mean, they just simply
well said.
They just simply read and react and make a play. I mean, it's what they have to do as linebackers, and that's why you have to get space eating.
And
guys.
that's why you don't chase a space eating second tier guy like a Trey Edmonds. After that Roquan Smith contract adjustment that kind of got him away, man, how graceful were we in sticking with the draft capacity and kind of kicking that old adage that we just fall asleep in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that, you know, you don't want to see, you know, guys fail or anything like that, but you got Terrell Bernard in the 3rd, you got Greg Rousseau in the 1st, you got, you know, Matt Milano was a 5th round pick. So, I mean, it doesn't matter where they're drafted.
It takes all kinds, everything you need.
Add nothing you don't. And you just, they just got to draft the right players. And I think that, you know, it makes it, you know, with Kyer getting traded, you know, yes, it sucks.
Yeah, and I thought he exited graciously. For anybody
absolutely.
For anybody to take the contra opinion that he was throwing shade at Buffalo, you don't know Kyer, and that might be me being you know, an insufferable douche that we did know Kyer, but in every interaction, how was he to you, Matt?
He was one of the greatest humans I've ever met. Like, you know,
he remember when he missed the charity event that we were doing with AJ Epinesa? Why did he miss that charity event?
Because he was at Bible study.
Yeah, I mean, it's everything you'd want in a player. And if we're going to sit here and add credo to Deion Dawkins and believe him and use him as a recruiting agent, unfortunately, Myles Garrett didn't go our way. I really thought he was out of Cleveland. But if we're going to use him as a bullhorn to get people here, you got to believe the culture matters. And, you know, guys like friends of the show, Asil Moba, he's talking to 8th grade math teachers to try to get the right picks. So I'd like to put I'd like to put a sleeper hold on that we just fall asleep during the draft and we only turn on the Jets, you know, in the later rounds for value. Because there's value everywhere. It's just that some people have more concentrated opinions about the 1st and 2nd value. What do you think about what I just said there, Matt?
Real quick, you know, speaking on value, real quick, let's touch on our sponsors.
Oh, yeah. For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliot Apollo's, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Do Champions. FanDuel, the official sports book of Do Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Do Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.
And again, thank you to all of our sponsors here. You know, with Do Champions, Elliot Apollo,
you're here.
W, FanDuel.
Yeah, they heard it. They don't need to hear it
exactly. Again. But no, I mean, you asked me the question, and you playing linebacker in college, and you're a couple of days on the Chargers.
Appreciate that. Can't forget about that.
But no, I mean, I really want to hear from you. I mean, what do you feel like with Matt Milano, who has to prove something this year, took kind of a deal to prove something.
I don't like the tone of that question, Matt.
And Terrell Bernard.
Okay, I'll break it down for you real quick. I don't think anybody's got anything to prove because the proof is already in a pudding that it's been pretty digestible. Both here and now. I thought Greg Thompson nailed it weeks before. You're bagging on Greg Thompson, you're banging on fandom. Nothing but added value. Shout out Greg Thompson. Shout out Ryan Talbot. Yep. You'll see them back. But they nailed it. They want some agency in if old man time catches up to them. Obviously a larger concern for Matt Milano with injuries and stuff like that. But who's to say that old man injury is not the same as old man time, because I think they're both analogous to one another. I love that the way they play in space. They take a lot of pressure off us not being a star-studded safety field. A lot of people had a lot of opinions about Damar Hamlin. I'll start with you, Matt. You didn't really see him coming back. It was kind of a nothing burger when he was, but outside of the great story, I think there's a lot of utility there, man. As long as we get his counterpoint, Christian Bedford, locked in at the level of play he's playing.
I mean, I'm perfectly fine. I was a big fan of the deal that Bean put together because he didn't give him starter money. If he had given him like a deal $4, $5, $6 million, sure, I'd be a little bit more upset, but 1.197 to Damar Hamlin. I mean, that's a great deal to be able to play behind Cole Bishop and Taylor Rapp and fill out the safety room. But you brought up time. Who's the only person that's ever undefeated?
Father Time.
There you go.
And the IRS.
Them too, but we don't want to push anything too far or anything like that into the future, but I do want to thank everybody who tuned in for tonight for Michael Hoecht. I do want to thank everybody here, all of our sponsors. I do want to thank Alex Brasky coming on next week.
Yep. Alec Anderson, Doug Worthington, Chris Hogan,
Daniel Kelly, former Jet scout from the New York Jets.
I like that cat.
Just moving forward, you got Whittle 2K Beyond 716 on Wednesday on Coast to Coast. You got Chase and Data on Thursday nights. Jake tomorrow night.
And there's no more crucial time to plug than no one to blame. They've been pretty hot in this NCAA tournament. Hey, Matt! Who you talking to, big guy?
I don't have anybody to talk to this week. I mean, it's kind of...
Why don't we talk to our guest, Mike Hoecht?
Yeah.
Man, keep that same energy, bro. Keep that same energy that landed you in your hometown team because that energy is infectious and it's everything you need.
Nothing you don't.
On behalf of the Third and Manageable Podcast, my name is Student Body Right. You can catch me at Student Body RGHT on Twitter. Mute me if you don't like economic takes or me fighting Built in Buffalo. And we got at Matt Diegert, Matt_Diegert on Twitter. On behalf of the Do Champions Network, on behalf of Mike Hoecht, on behalf of Cover One, on behalf of everybody who cares of this fan base and doesn't want any chicanery when it comes to loving this team anymore. Thanks for listening. We'll play us out.